Well, in the 1980s, there was a malaise felt in Russia. They realized that the Stalinist central planning just didn't work. It was too centralized. Every economy that's successful is a mixed economy. It's both government and private. If you have too privatized an economy, then you end up with Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan and a disaster. But if you have too centralized economy without any private innovation, without any private investment, without any market feedback for what people want, that's going to be destructive too. And the Russian leadership realized this isn't working. But they didn't really have an alternative. And one of the problems is that Russia is one of the few countries where nobody's read Karl Marx. There's no understanding of classical economics. And if they would have read Marx's volumes 2 and 3, they'd know that finance capitalism is the final stage of industrial capitalism. But they thought, well, okay, we want to be like the United States. Let's let the United States military and CIA replan our economy. So before there was the wipeout, the privatization, there was a big meeting in Houston of the IMF and the World Bank. And the IMF said, first of all, you have to wipe out everybody's savings. Second, you have to kill 20% of your population. Third, you have to make a crisis and fire everybody, not produce anything, just have a shock therapy. And this was something that usually you have to atom bomb a country to create. But Russia thought that this is what we're being told, we'll do it. They had the same faith in the United States neoliberals that they had under Stalin, and they did exactly what the IMF told them in a public document. You have to have a hyperinflation, wipe out all the savings, and then you sell all of your companies. Well, if you've just had a hyperinflation, wiped out all the savings, and turned over the gas company to the management, every factory was turned over to its managers in practice. But who could they sell it to? Because you wiped out the savings. The only people they could sell it to cash out were to Americans and Europeans. And so the Americans came in and they bought all of the companies that were making industrial goods for the military and closed them down and turned them into real estate projects, basically. The Khardakovsky privatized the Yukos Oil Company and was going to sell it at a huge profit for himself to Standard Oil. In which case America would have ended up buying all of Russia's oil reserves, maybe for $20, $30. I mean, slight exaggeration, but for almost nothing. They would have bought up all the military, and they sent election advisors to interfere with the Russian elections to push President Yeltsin. They sent basically Russia's policy was turned over to Wall Street and to the State Department to fund, and it was basically junk economics. Russia was told, don't create your own money. That would be inflationary. You have to base all of your rubles on dollars, and only if you have a dollar equivalent can you issue your own rubles. Well, how is Russia going to get the dollars? Now that it was its industry was all interrupted, it had to sell its raw materials, sell its companies. It was just a total disaster. And the Americans had put in billions of dollars of support for neoliberal groups and for Yeltsin against the Communist Party, until finally, first of all, Primakov was appointed as prime minister, and the United States told Yeltsin, we would look at it as unfriendly if you keep Mr. Primakov there, replace him with somebody else. So he was replaced, I think, by Chernomyrdin, and then he was replaced finally by Mr. Putin, who they thought would be just a supporter. And of course, Mr. Putin was the person who stopped the bleeding and stopped the privatization process for that. So basically, Russia was told, if you could just do to Russia what Margaret Thatcher did to England, you'll be rich in no time. And I went over and gave a number of three speeches before the Duma, saying that even if you've sold, let all of your property be privatized and stolen by the kleptocrats, all you have to do is impose a tax on economic rent, and you will get back what they've taken. You tax the natural resource rent, tax the land rent, and ownership would mean nothing because you would have taxed it away. Well, the politicians who brought me over to the Duma had the Americans manipulated them out of the election and had them removed from the Duma, and so none of that basically occurred. So America had hoped to make Russia into the same kind of satellite that it had made in Latin American dictatorship.